Phil Dunster plays the bad boy of Ted Lasso, Jamie Tartt. I'm at Nobler Gold Derby, here to ask you, Phil, um, what was the funnest thing to play about Jamie?
Great question. Great question. Turning up to a gala with no shirt on, probably a lifelong goal. Uh, One of the coolest things was that they forced everybody else to not tackle me, so I looked really good when I was taking the ball around people. They literally had professional actors there to dive out of the way. And do you know what? Like, even though I know it's like a placebo, even though I know that it's fake, it still feels good, man. It still feels good.
Yeah, yeah. Are you saying they called in some of the guys from the Italian football team?
Yeah, very good. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. They were diving all over the place. Love that.
yeah.
Good football
Okay,
satire. Very good, man.
there we go. Yeah. Do you feel with Jamie, he is like sort of a character that is a bit of a like at times a villain of the series. Do you prefer playing those sorts of parts of him, or do you like the times when we sort of get to see his softer side?
I think that is a bit of a cop out answer. I think
Yeah.
that I like because of one, I enjoy playing the other, and I think that because Jamie, on the surface and maybe a bit, a bit underneath the surface, there's a lot of arrogance and bravado and ego. I feel like that's really fun to play because Jamie says the things that I would not. But then having gone that far, it's really nice to just those moments of like clarity and of like empathy. Uh, I think are really nice to play because it's like you. It feels like that we've earned that, and that's fun.
Yeah. I think like the interesting thing I think is particularly Jamie's relationship with Ted in the show, because Jamie gives Ted a lot, but he very rarely, if ever, returns. Like he sort of returns serve with grace, and it's sort of interesting how Jamie reacts to that. Uh, how do you sort of approach those scenes when you're having to react to how Ted is treating Jamie?
I think that generosity probably hasn't really been something that Jamie's had a lot of um, access to from you know male characters uh, of of importance in his life, and so when someone such as Ted provides offers out an olive branch, I think that Jamie is pretty wary of it. I think that I think it probably to him to begin with probably is a bit of a sign of weakness. So I think that the aversion to seeing it from Ted feels like it's wash your game. Do you know what I mean? And um, I think that the response to that, hopefully throughout, you sort of see Jamie sort of. It's like he's learning bit by bit. Like the training's working. Uh, that's someone's being nice to you. Try to be appreciative. And little by little. I mean, you can't teach an arrogant dog new tricks or something. But I think that there is um, the persistent generosity of Ted. I think is just wearing away, chipping away at Jamie to the extent that I think that he sort of slowly learns to not just learn how to receive love. I think also to give out as well.
Mm. Is there anything that through making Ted Lasso and through acting, and it could be a very different lesson to Jamie, but something that you learnt bit by bit through approaching this character and role?
Um, how to listen to people like Joe Kelly and Brendan Hunt and Jason Sudeikis to when they tell you how to be funny because they know some of it. I was like, this is really funny. I don't know how to make it funny. So they're very good teachers at finding like the button of the joke,
Mm.
and I would be the butt of the joke. And I think that, I think also, I think that from the process of doing it, I feel like one of the things that became clear was the people having patience with people and understanding that they are not what they're probably being the way that they are. If they're being, if they're being difficult, they're probably being like that because of something else they got going on. There's a lot more underneath the surface.
Yeah, you said like finding that sort of battle button of the joke was something that you've sort of learnt from these guys, these writers that are on the show. Do you have a moment or a joke that you think is the funniest from season 1 of the show, or something that just always makes you laugh whenever you see it?
Yeah. It is when, first of all, anything that Nick Mohammed does, but it's like an objective truth that the funniest part of Ted Lasso season 1 is when Trent Krim asks who Nathan or Nate the Great is, and they look over to him in a moment where he's seen somebody has let their dog poo on the field, and he's there trying to kick the poo off. And it's just the way that he delivers the line, "Someone's let their dog poo here," is just truly, I think it's comedy genius. It's like Laurel and Hardy, Nick Mohammed as Nate the Great, and then Lee Evans, or take your pick.
I love it. So good. Was there a particularly funny scene for you to shoot, and that you remember, like, sort of maybe finding it hard to keep a straight face while making the scene?
Any scene with Brett Goldstein, any scene where we have to be sort of in the same room with one another, we can't do it. We can't do it without laughing. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I think that it's just his face, man. It's his face that gets me. But actually, one of the scenes that was really that was hard to keep a straight face for was when Jamie goes to see Keeley and Roy is there, and him and Brett and I were sat opposite each other at the table, and that was right near the end of filming the first season, and we got to know each other very well, and we had established very clearly that the two of us can't do scenes together without laughing. And so when the bit where he throws the key at me and I dodge it was just such a stupid moment, and we found it so funny that was really that was really funny. That was fun. That was fun to see.
That's good. What's like one of the lines that we have in Ted Lasso from your character is, actually a Walt Whitman line, "Be curious and not judgmental." What was there anything that sort of for you approaching this series, approaching this role, that you were curious about and wanted to sort of discover?
I think that one of the things that was really cool with approaching Jamie was that, it's a very strange lifestyle, the lifestyle of a football player, because they're like, they're these like toddler millionaires where they have had a strange perception of what is like acceptable and what's a good thing to spend your time doing, because of just influences that happens when you have lots of money. There are lots of people who I think want to sort of, for better or for worse, sort of, shape you or mold you in a certain way. And the idea of sort of getting to know this character or molding this character from someone who, I went to the audition and had Jamie in this Mancunian accent that he has in the show, and it's very different to mine. I've spent some time in Manchester, but I think being curious to figure out what that would be like coming from a council estate in Manchester, as he says in the show, and now having like more money than he probably could ever imagine having, what that does to someone, this sort of like upside down pyramid of what you would normally expect in terms of like growing towards that, and that sort of like wealth and sort of experience, it's like totally at odds with each other. And so and it's not just about the wealth, but it's about like the exposure, and it's about this sort of like fame that someone like that would have, and the difficulties that he, someone in that position, would have keeping their feet on the ground. And and yeah, I'm curious to see how somebody in that position is able to be taught, when they're so scared of being exposed for an imposter.
How you most like Jamie, Phil?
The fact that he doesn't have any body hair. Oh no, Jamie has loads of body hair, doesn't he? Well, the fact that in the show he has no body hair, that's really easy to do.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that, God, yeah. Great question. He has pink boots. I've got pink boots. So it's probably
There
that,
you go.
I imagine.
There you go. Lack of hair and pink boots. The series is about an American football coach coming into coach an English Premier League football team, and you have that sort of fun sort of meeting of cultures and worlds. But that's sort of the same in the series, where you've got people from England and people from America creating this series together. What's that sort of like? Is it a parallel to how it plays out in the show, or is it sort of very different?
Yeah. It's a funny bridge, because Brendan and Joe and Jason all spent time in Amsterdam when they were younger, and so there is like a European bridge there, and I think that's where they learned about Robbie Williams, and they're obsessed with Robbie Williams, or particularly Brendan is. And hula hoops. They go mad for hula hoops, and I don't, it seems quite. I don't know if I don't know if you have hula hoops where you are, Matt, but they are just, yeah, you do, yeah. They're just potato chips, and they're sort of.
Oh no, I thought you were talking. No, sorry, I thought you were talking about the things that like acrobats. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Right. Yeah, so no, I mean, those are universal, and everybody loves hula hoops. Those hula hoops. These are the little potato things that he eats in the show. There's little nods to it like that. But I love London, and I love being in London. And when we shot series 1, when it was London, pre-pandemic, this whole thing, I really enjoyed showing some of the guys. The guy who plays Zero, Mo Jody Lamour, he came to London, and I really enjoyed sort of showing him around and taking to the places in London that I love. And I think I saw London in a quite a different way doing that, and so that was really nice. It's funny, sometimes you're like, God, they're so we say a cop for a policeman here, and they're like, we do that in America too, and you're like, oh, I guess we are quite similar, aren't we? Really, it's not. But yeah.
Oh, very good. What has it been like? This, like, sort of, you've made the series, and so far on the awards circuit, it's done really well. We at Gold Derby think it's well placed for the upcoming Emmy Awards this year. What's it like for a show like this that you've been working on to sort of, especially after the first season, to be embraced by success? Because when you were making it, you didn't really know how people would respond.
You're right, man. And I think we didn't know. And I think we had a great time doing it. And we were like, this is really good. But I don't think you really ever, as often the cliche goes, you don't make it with that in mind. And we have, we sort of didn't really expect anyone to watch it, because it was like, this is something so much fun. It feels almost like a cheat that people would also enjoy it. And so the fact that people do, I've never been a part of anything and had any response like this at all. And so it's incredibly like joyful to see people's response. People's like making like comics about it online and making Lego, and people such as yourself with a brilliant Believe poster behind, and I'm here for it. I'm fully here for it. And so like I think that first of all it's scary doing a second season because you're like, wow, people really want this to be good. They need it to be good. I think particularly last year we've all had such a rubbish, generally the world's had a pretty rubbish sort of 16 months, whatever it is we're in now. And I think that there is hope and there is kindness and there's joy in this show. And I think that is something that everybody needs. And so, I think that hopefully, as you guys will see, that there's plenty of that in season 2 as well. But I think it's funny because you get into the thing of like, I went back on set for season 2 and was like, oh god, there's Higgins over there. Oh, look, Rebecca's over there. And like, I'm conscious of them as their characters as well now. And when they do their bits, their thing, you're like, oh god, that's so them. That is so Ted Lasso when he does that, which is great. But yeah, no, I mean, it's wonderful to be able to do this job with these people, and when kind people such as yourself say kind things about the show as you have, and say lovely things about it being potentially involved with things like that, it's just a bonus.
I hear, Phil, if season 2 is good enough, maybe you and some other shows will be able to break off and form a super league for awards. Who knows?
It's football satire, and I like it.
Yeah. So we'll see how you go. Only if it's good enough. No,
we are nothing if not beholden to our fans. There'll be uprisings in the street if that was the case.
Okay, yeah. Ted Lasso has to compete at the Emmys. No new awards show or anything like that. Okay, great. Since season 1, obviously, for many people, the Baby Shark song has new meaning now. Have you heard that song more or less since?
Only every night in my dreams. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really good. What about do you have a favorite scene from season 1?
I don't know how much I can give away here. I don't want to be spoilerific. Is this?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. There is a scene between Hannah's character Rebecca and Jason's character Ted, and where forgiveness is shown. And I have, I am embarrassed to say, but also, proud to say that I've watched the show like 3 times and I've cried every time at that moment. But in terms of filming it, I loved filming. Well, there was one because watching Jason do his thing is incredible, and there was the scene where it's just practice, where Ted is having a go at Jamie for not going out and practicing because he's hurt and doesn't want to practice. Was great because they let the camera roll, and he's a powerhouse. He's amazing. And being able to be in front of there and just feel what he was doing was super cool. I didn't know about the Allen Iverson thing until Jason had told me about it, and I was like, it's a really cool reference to real life. And then probably the most important thing was there's a shot where it's in practice just before Jamie goes over to Sam Abasanya and rubs him on the head, saying, he just died here because I took the ball around him. It was like the 17th take, and I had kept striking the ball like miles away, and they were like, "Don't worry, if you get it wrong on this one, we'll just put it in as like CGI. We'll put it in post, and we'll make it look like it was really good." And I was like, come on, Phil, you've been playing football for the last 15 years. You've got to be able to do this. Come on. And I just like hit it. I like wellied it, leathered it. And by the grace of God, it went into the top corner. And I had to then play it cool because Jamie always does that. But Phil never does that. And so it goes in. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then they cool cut and all hell broke. It was brilliant. It was a wonderful moment because it was also relief as well because I was like, saves them some budget.
Yeah. Wouldn't it have been a shame if you'd reacted badly and then they had to change your facial reaction in post? Like they didn't need to do the goal? Well,
yeah, it'd be like Superman changing Superman's moustache, but like my whole face.
Yeah. Phil, thank you so much for talking to us today. People watching this interview can go to goldderby.com, make your awards predictions, and watch other interviews with awards contenders. And again, Phil, all the best of luck with season 2 and the upcoming Emmy Awards. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thanks, man.